Good morning. Because, yes, as feared, yesterday's speech and debate tournament did go quite late. We didn't get home until about midnight, and I didn't feel like uploading video. So here is yesterday's. Today, I will try to do another video vlog for VEDA later today and upload that tonight. So here's the much anticipated, I'm sure, why do people poop in urinals in public restrooms? Now, I think the last question, or the only other question from Allie was, why do people poop in urinals in public bathrooms? And this is probably, could have just written this off and, I could have just thrown it, well, because lots of people are assholes and many of them are just shitty about it. But I wanted to treat the question somewhat more seriously, maybe than it was even intended. It was just more of a rant on her part because she works in a public facility and probably has to deal with this more than anyone should. But I was kind of curious, and so I did what you do. I went to Google and asked, why do people poop in urinals? And got back more responses than you would have expected unless you live in 2018 and you recognize that weird things show up on the internet. Yeah, more responses than I would have expected, including a couple YouTube videos that I did not think I wanted to watch and didn't watch. But they're there if you want to look them up. In examining the reasons that people poop in public urinals, they boil down to mainly two, I think, were the primary theories on why people poop in urinals in public restrooms. Number one being revenge, dissatisfied, disgruntled employees, trying to get back at their bosses, pooping in the urinals. I'm not sure that that's really effective means of protesting your working conditions. And the other one being people who are just genuinely, they were locked out of the stall and needed to go, and that seemed like the best option. Better the urinal than the sink, better the urinal than on the floor. And so they took that as the best option. I think if that were my option, my only option, maybe I would take it, but I would try somehow to clean it up myself, as unpleasant as that would be, but no employee at any public facility should have to deal with that. But I think, to be honest, that Google was not getting people to be honest. I think that probably there is another whole segment of urinal poopers that do it for the thrill. In some cases, possibly there's a sexual erotic thrill, but I don't think it's that probably as much. That's probably somewhat a thing. Let me tell a story here, because this is going to be a longer vlog than I ever expected. When I was in college, penthouse was a thing. This is in like the late 70s, early 80s. Penthouse was a thing that was popular among the college-age population. Playboy had become almost too tame, and Hustler was around then, but it was crude and vulgar. Penthouse hit that sweet spot that was really erotically charged and worked really well as a sort of literate aphrodisiac quality that served all parties involved, women as well as men. I can remember reading and listening to stories read. The forum columns were very well. Yes, we were reading for the articles, the erotic articles, actually the letters to the editor more than the articles. But that was a thing that somehow when we graduated from college we got away from, didn't deal with for a long time, and I didn't see one for a long time, for several years. Then several years later, I happened to spend some time with a friend who is apparently still collecting penthouses, had a huge stack of them in his bathroom, and I paged through a few of them, just curious of course, and was perplexed to discover that urination had become a big thing in penthouse magazines. Girls peeing was like a major element, and I was surprised and kind of weirded out. I guess whatever floats your boat, and it was doing it for some people apparently, not me, but who am I to judge? And maybe that has continued and gone further so that there might be some kind of erotic sexual orientation that people like to now poop in urinals as a thing that gets them off. But I think more often it's probably people that do it for a thrill, get that thrill for being that bad and outrageous. I'm reminded, somewhat reluctantly, that my favorite band and God's, Green Day, named two of their albums. One of them is Dookie, the other is Kerplunk. And if you didn't realize that Dookie is another term for a poop, you might not have caught on to the fact that Kerplunk is the sound that a dookie makes when it falls. I don't like Green Day any less for this, but I don't also necessarily think that this was their most prime peak moment of artistic valor and value. But there's apparently that fascination with being bad, being outrageous. And I think in their case, maybe they're trying to say at the time, punk was a reaction to big stadium rock bands trying to be pretentious and pompous and profound, and punk was just in your face. No, we're just outrageous, and I'm going to be outrageous. And that's what they did. So there was that aspect to it. And I think maybe that's where they were at. But I think some people just get off on the scatological humor of it all. And maybe that's why some people poop in urinals. But whatever reasons people have, stop, okay? Nobody should have to deal with that.
So there are some thoughts on why people might poop in a public urinal. I do want to add one disclaimer here. Back in the late 70s, early 80s, we were aware of things like golden showers and what that was. There's nothing new under the sun. Sorry, kids, you haven't invented sex. You haven't invented much of anything that goes with sex. But it wasn't quite as mainstream. But then this was back in the days before we had to explain to kids what a presidential P-tape might be. Finishes up that first round of questions, so I've got to go back to vlogging, and tomorrow I've got to go back to work. So we will see if we can try to keep up with VEDA for the rest of the month and do our best, and hope you're doing well. Let me know if you do have any other questions or things you'd like to talk about down in the comments. Till next time, don't forget to be awesome, and I will talk to you again soon, hopefully.